Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be guiding you through a pre-release preview of our SpotMap ELISA software. Now this is a brand new piece of software from TotalLab meant to deal with analyzing, simplifying and automating the process of analyzing host cell protein ELISAs. Now this is obviously a space in which we're well represented and invested. We have our SpotMap MS, LCMS analysis software and our SpotMap 2D page analysis software, all within the world of host cell protein analysis, all about automation and standardization of the process. And SpotMap ELISA rounds that out nicely with an ELISA analysis package. Now, it's not just limited to host cell protein ELISAs, that's obviously a specialized form of an ELISA assay, but it can do normal ELISAs, it can do basically any plate-based assay, and it can produce the results that you're seeing here. Now, it's completely vendor neutral, just like all of TotalLab software. And I'll take you through how it works on the back end and give you a kind of flavor of what we're trying to achieve with the software. And if this is something that you're interested in, please get in touch with us and we'll kind of move it up the development pipeline. But for the moment, it is pre-release, it's beta. We're not able to sell it or give a trial, but I'm just giving you a flavor of what's coming from TotalLab. Now, this is a fully processed experiment based on a SoftMax Pro template. So what we do is, you can see this node-based diagram here is where we perform all of our calculations, and this is fully user configurable. But the first step you can see is we take in a CSV file. So we can take in a SpectraMax export from here. We parse that CSV, we turn it into numbers, and from here we can define our groups, our concentration curves, our measurements, our quantification values, what curve fit type are we using, and importantly, what are our QC acceptance parameters? So what are the values that we're, expecting to see, and what are our acceptance values? So if you're using a kit-based host cell protein ELISA, you'll obviously have that information provided by the manufacturer. If you're developing a platform-specific ELISA, you will be working towards developing your own acceptance criteria. But all of that we can have typed in by the user. Once you've configured this template, and this template can be shared across different sites for tech transfer, it can be shared across different users, just simply by attaching it to an email and sending it to someone. Once you have this template, every time you bring new data in from your plate reader, it will just follow this whole automated analysis process. What you get at the end of it is this view here. So we've got our plate layout where all of our wells, all of our samples should be. We can see using this green and red scale that all of our all the values that we're tracking from a QC perspective are within the green area, so they're passed. We can see here this is our raw OD values that we get from our CSV. We've got our concentration curve here that we've obviously used to extrapolate our unknowns. I believe this is a 4PL curve, but obviously that would be the standard. We can see where our file came from, and we can see all of our raw data, averages, standard deviation, CVs, things like that. So it's incredibly quick to do this processing, and that's one of the aims for this piece of software, and one of the, I guess, complaints or pieces of feedback from other pieces of software for ELISA analysis that are provided with pieces of equipment are that they are slow and buggy, and if you're doing this in Excel, as soon as you start putting loads of information into Excel, it starts behaving incredibly erratically and crash, and you lose all your data, blah, 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 blah. Now, this software, of course, fits into our audit-safe 21 CFR and GMP compliant software, but it can also fit into our TrendLab software, which is really powerful when you're doing lots of different ELISAs. So the TrendLab software allows us to track all of these metrics longitudinally across multiple different experiments to see how our experiments are behaving over time. And this is what TrendLab looks like. Again, TrendLab is pre-release software. We're working on it. It's not out yet. But the idea is that for every experiment that you're working on, the QC values that you are interested in from a QC perspective are plotted longitudinally on this dashboard. And you can see that as long as the values are within your described parameters, within your acceptable limits, possibly written down in SOP, these counters shows green. You can see they're in the green area, and we can move along here and we can actually click these to open up the different experiments that provided this data. Now, what we can also do within TrendLab is use historical trends to predict when failures are going to happen. So if I come along here and turn the predictions on, we can see how we expect the different trends to continue based on time. So, for example, if you have a whole cell protein analysis ELISA kit that the manufacturer says is valid for 12 months, but actually for your samples, you require a higher level of sensitivity that is lost at the 9-month mark, for example. So as your antibodies are degrading incredibly slowly in your fridge or your freezer for these kits, the range in which your samples are expressing whole cell proteins might be at the extremities of your standard curve at the very low end, and that might be the end where you lose sensitivity quicker. So by using this kind of software, you can track, but well, actually, for our purposes within our process, 12 months is too late to be using this ELISA kit, and we need to make sure that our ELISA kits are used by month 9 to make sure that we've still got the sensitivity there. So that's one potential use for this combination. Again, all 21 CFR or GMP compliant, designed to give QC departments, QC managers a high level overview of all of the experiments that are being performed on site and whether they're passing or failing. So what happens if an error enters the system? So I've got an example here of a plate. Imagine I've run this as an analyst. As soon as I send my results to the TrendLab software, you can see immediately within the dashboard that we're predicting, now it hasn't happened yet, but we're predicting that if this trend continues, in 5 experiments time, our minimum blank level is going to be higher than what we've designated our acceptance criteria. So by using these combinations of software in a 21 CFR and GMP compliant environment, we can predict failures before they're going to happen. So this is where I'm talking about, working out how many months your ELISA kit's actually valid for your samples. How long have you got that sensitivity, that dynamic range in the assay that covers your samples? So this is how you would spot that before, realizing that you've got a failure in your hands. So this is actually built off speaking to a customer of ours. They had an incident whereby they could have spotted, if they had access to an easy to use dashboard like this, instead of doing the work manually within Excel to be able to predict these things or track these things, they could have spotted a QC failure 2 weeks ahead of time, which, 2 weeks is lost. Those 2 weeks were lost time. So by having something like this, you can get ahead of QC failures and make sure you don't lose that time. You can order another ELISA kit, defrost another antibody, perform your bridging assay, something like that. To be forewarned is to be forearmed, or whatever the saying is. So that's TrendLab, which is a separate piece of software, but fits into both our ELISA software and our LCMS software. I'll put links in the description below for all of these. This is our ELISA software that is fully user configurable. You can export it to PDF, and it's designed to just take in, I'll show you how quickly it processes things. So if I come through here, load this SpectraMax export here, you've seen the numbers all change there, and the numbers have all changed here as well. So that's how quickly we can take data in and just have it processed exactly the same every single time. So that's our ELISA software, that's the TrendLab software. It will be released shortly, but if you've got any questions, if you're interested in using this software in a GMP compliant environment, or for whole cell protein analysis or typical ELISA analysis, please get in touch. We'll have a conversation and we'll see if we can get a trial copy into your hands.